Hello, good evening, and welcome to Royal Television. And the program you're watching is Spot Box with me, Sonny Tanguni. And yes, we have, according to reports by Kick 44, more than 6 players of Victoria United have been suspended due to suspicion of match fixing. Mind you, with their away game, they were leading 1-0, and unfortunately during the second round against Aigle Royal of the Menoir, they were scored 4 goals to pick up a 4-1 defeat. And according to reports from Kick 44, 6 of these players of Victoria United have been suspended as a result of match fixing, despite the fact that it has not yet been proven, and as of now, the club equally has not altered a word. And equally, these are some of the issues that we are going to be looking at today on the program Sport Box. And let's take on this break. When we come back, we continue with our sports updates. And yes, if you're welcome back, if you're just joining us, you're on to Spot Box on Royal Television. The program comes up every Mondays, Wednesday, Fridays, and equally Saturdays with my humble self and the likes of Kusona Claudia Voma. And equally today, mind you, we are on the weekend, which means that it's time for us to know the fixtures of the various games that are going to be played over the weekend. But before we get to bring to you our sports updates for today's program, let's talk about what is happening in the corridors of Victoria United. Mind you, a team that is preparing for match day 19 of the MTN 81 Championship. And like I told you before the break, according to Kick 44, several Victoria United players have been dismissed for match fixing by the club president, Nkwan Valentine. And this was contained in a statement signed by the club chairman himself, which has yet to be made public. It is indicated that the dismissed players were found guilty of match fixing and have therefore been relieved of their duties. Among these dismissed players are Captain Ngathak Laurent, Vice Captain Brian Chana Nana, Osongo Carl Eyong, Defender Agbo Meldin Ashu, Stanley Petro, and goalkeeper Yobi Jason. These are the players that have all been suspended by the president of Victoria United, Kwan Valentine. I mind you that this decision comes in after they were humiliated by Stade Renard of the Menoir 4-1 in terms of their away game at the Bamenzi Stadium on Sunday, the 10th of May. Like I told you, this is a team that is preparing for the match day 19 of the MTN 81 Championship. And that game has already been selected for the Limber Centenary Stadium this Sunday against Aigle Royal of the Mongo. With all these controversies for match fixing, there is a lot of questions that will come in the mind, especially of fans of Victoria United. Mind you, this is not the first time that such is happening with the club. For instance, last year, where we had the likes of Ewane, we have the likes of their goalkeeper, who was 3 of their players were suspended because of match fixing. And there is Victoria United, who comes again with another suspension because of match fixing. And the big question is, what could be the problem? Is it that they are not receiving enough salary? Or is it that they are having some difficulties financially that they are involving themselves in match fixing? Or what indeed is the problem of players of Victoria United? But in the days ahead, we are going to be bringing to you development of this particular update, especially when or if the club will have to communicate on such a situation, because it's something really really not to talk about, especially when the championship is coming to an end and clubs are struggling to grab points to be able to maintain themselves in the MTN Elite One Championship, and you're faced with such a situation, it becomes very, very worrisome. And a reminder that Victoria United is the only Southwest club playing at the level of the MTN Elite One Championship. And away from that particular issue that is happening in the corridors of Victoria United, let's now go straight away to our sports update, and we are going to be looking at the African Championship, the Athletics African Championship that is happening in Ghana, where we are having beautiful results, especially from the likes of the athletes that are representing Cameroon over there in Ghana, ahead of the Athletics African Championship, where Cameroon has been able to grab a total of 5 medals total, where they have the likes of 3 gold medals into their pocket, while that particular classification table for the golden medals is topped by South Africa, where Cameroon has won 3 gold medals, 1 silver, 1 bronze medal, with Cameroon currently occupying the 3rd place in the overall ranking of the African Championships athletics in Accra, closely behind South Africa and the likes, where we have the likes of Kole Etame, Heveshin Tongjok, who won in terms of the women's 100 meters, winning a gold medal. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Seme, equally the fastest man in Cameroon, was able to pick up 100 meters, a gold medal in the men's 100 meter, winning the race in 10 minutes 25 seconds to give Cameroon another gold medal. Where we have Nora Atime Moni, who won the African champions with a throw at 57.0 meters. Cameroon winning its first ever gold women's discus title at the African Championship. And equally, we have the likes of, in terms of the men's shot put, we have Billy Joseph Tango Kum, who won a bronze medal with a throw of 17.1 meters, and it has been a marvelous, fantastic competition so far for the athletes of the Cameroonian athletes so far. Let's take a look at that table in terms of the rankings of the various medals that have been grabbed already by the various African countries that are participating, where we have South Africa on the 1st position with a total of 8 medals grabbed, followed by Ethiopia with a total of 7 medals grabbed. We have the likes of 3 golds, 1 silver and 3 bronze. And Cameroon follows 3rd position with 3 golds medal onto their name, 1 silver and 1 bronze, to give it a total of 5 medals already grabbed. Botswana sits 4th with just 2 golden medals and 4 silver, no bronze, with a total of 6 medals in general. And we have the 5th position is Nigeria with 2 gold medal grabs, 3 silver and 3 bronze, 8 in total. Kenya, 2 gold medals, 1 silver and 2 bronze, 5. Burkina Faso sits at the 7th position with a total of 2 medals grabbed. Algeria, 1 medal grab. Cote d'Ivoire, 1 medal grab. Namibia sits at the 8th position with just 1 medal grab. Rwanda, 1 medal grabbed, and the likes of Zimbabwe that has been able to grab just 2 silvers and 1 bronze medal so far in terms of the Athletics African Championship that is ongoing in Accra, Ghana. And equally, we want to say congratulations to all the athletes that are representing 237, which is Cameroon, and with such medals grabbed, we equally want to say that despite the fact that their national president died some few days ago, indeed, they remain flying the flags of Cameroon, and we are hoping that as the days unfold, more medals will be grabbed in various categories. And equally, away from the African athleticism that is ongoing over there in the Accra, Ghana, let's talk about the inauguration ceremony of the 5-floor-story building of the new headquarters of Feka Food. Mind you, instead of taking a bus that leave me at the headquarters in Tinga. Now it is going to be in Wada. I want to say congratulations equally to the Minister of Sport and Physical Education alongside the FA boss Samuel Eto'o for why not completing this 2010 idea that was why not generated by Iya Mohammed, which in 2026 it has been realized by the current president. I take you to Yaoundé to take a look at how that particular ceremony or inauguration ceremony looked like. The idea, originally initiated in 2010 by the former Fecafoot president Iya Mohammed, has finally materialized under the leadership of the current Fecafoot president Samuel Eto'o, marking a significant milestone in the development of football administration in Cameroon. The inauguration ceremony was preceded over by the Prime Minister head of government, representing the President of the Republic. In his address, he described the completion of the structure as a clear demonstration of the government's unwavering commitment to promoting football as a unifying national sport.
The instruction of the head of state once more reflects the special attention he accords to Cameroonian sporting movement in general and to football in particular. In this spirit, I am particularly pleased to convey his warm greetings and cordial words of welcome to all the distinguished personalities, sports officials, partners, and stakeholders who have traveled to Yaoundé to grace this major event with their presence. We thank you.
Also in attendance was the president of the Confederation of African Football, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, who arrived Cameroon earlier in the day. Speaking during the ceremony, Motsepe underscored the power of football as a tool for unity and development across the continent.
I want to conclude by saying we must all work together. We must all unite. We must also, and that's why I'm saying, Prime Minister, thank you so much for supporting Samuel, all of us. Also say, Prime Minister, when Cameroon won the Olympics, they were not winning it only for the people of Africa, they were winning it for the whole of the continent. It was a moment of pride, very special pride. And Samuel made us very proud. Very, very proud with the rest of the team. I really want to thank the president of UNIFAC. Thank you so much, President Celestine. And thank everyone of our presidents, of the member associations. I'm so proud of you. The president of football from Senegal, the president of football from Chad, from Djibouti, from Côte d'Ivoire, from Niger times 2, and all the other presidents. Can we please clap hands for them?
Constructed on a 500 square meter site, the state-of-the-art building stands as a symbol of collaboration between the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education and Fecafoot. In his remarks, Samuel Eto'o commended the minister for his continuous support and dedication to advancing the nation's football infrastructure. Present at the ceremony were former Cameroonian footballers and African football legends, including J.J. Okocha, alongside several other distinguished personalities who traveled from far and near to witness the historic inauguration. The commissioning of the new Fecafoot headquarters not only fulfills a long-standing vision, but also sets the stage for a more professional and modern management of football in Cameroon, reinforcing the country's position as a powerhouse in African football. Yes, that ultra-modern structure there, it's not only for Cameroon, or it's not only making Cameroon proud, but rather the entire African continent. Indeed, administrative structures are taking a new dimension. Still in the corridors of the Fecafoot building, mind you, after this particular inauguration ceremony, a lot of questions came into our mind. How is it going to be beneficiary to sports journalists in Cameroon? And yes, Royal Television journalists went out there to talk to some sport journalists what they think this particular structure is, of what importance is it going to be to them. We'll take a listen at some of their reactions.
The new FECAFOOT headquarters is really a great initiative by this particular FECAFOOT administration. Yes, it's a project that was conceived by the Iya Mohammed administration way back in 2012, but it took quite a long time for it to be realized. And I really applaud the FECAFOOT present bureau to have come out with the realization of this project. Now, talking about how it's going to help the journalists or the media men and women who are interested in football reporting or in sports reporting in general, you see that it's going to help in a great deal. First, it's going to help in the accessibility of information, knowing that football is not only about the 11 players who play on the green turf, but football has different other disciplines like futsal, like beach soccer. Those are other disciplines that football that are under the umbrella of football. And so these different areas of football, these different sub-disciplines within football, those offices will be actually implanted in that particular new building because there is space, unlike in the previous office where you really find these offices having that autonomy in terms of somebody being in charge of maybe beach soccer, somebody being in charge of futsal. So by this time around, because of that space, because of the modern infrastructure that has been put in place by the Football Federation, you understand that it's going to help. Like there will be a person in charge of futsal, there will be a person in charge of beach soccer, there will be a person in charge of football foundation, like Jamila has been appointed the president of the FECAFOOT Foundation. There will be also a person in charge of women's football. There will be a person in charge of youth football. There will be a person in charge of the professional leagues like Elite 1 and Elite 2. And there will be a person in charge of the amateur football. So that will help journalists now to know offices to go and get information. It's not all about the general office of FECAFOOT where the president or the secretary general is in charge of the football administration who gives the information, but you can also get these sub offices where you get this information maybe on Elite 1 and Elite 2, regional league football, youth football, women's football. You can get beach soccer information or futsal information. So that office helps to create these different bureaus to ensure that when journalists come for information, they're just being sent to those offices and get whatever information they want to get. So it has helped to ease the bureaucracy or the bureaucracy in terms of the Football Federation, and it's really going to help journalists to get information from this particular office. Yeah, you know, the energy, like I'm saying, the energy used to get or to realize this particular project should be used to develop these other sub-disciplines in football, so that it can help journalists to also better report the discipline. You can understand that yeah, this inauguration is coming at a time when the under-20 Lions failed to the under-20 Lionesses failed to qualify for the World Cup in Poland later this year. So there is this talk of that same energy which was being given to the realization of this project should be added to the realization of our football, to the development of our football, so that we can see this edifice as a perfect representation of the football growth of Cameroon. So that should be the primary objective of this present bureau. The edifice is there, like the FIFA president said, Gianni Infantino. He said that the edifice symbolizes a new era or a new dawn in Cameroon football. So it should be represented in the way journalists report, in the way journalists are being given information, and also in the way football is being developed in the country. If that is not done, then that edifice is just there for window dressing, not actually representing the context of how well our football is well managed, because the offices can be there, the infrastructure can be there, but the manpower, the resources needed to beef up our football is not there. And so it will make it difficult for journalists to be to actually give accurate reports, to actually give reports that helps to develop football, because journalists will be talking about the infrastructure. They'll be talking about the beauty of the infrastructure, but how then can they relate that beauty of the infrastructure to the development of football? That's one big problem which we are facing. So there is that need for the energy that was put to realize this project to be sent to the development of football, the amateur football, beach soccer, futsal, elite championships. That same energy should be directed towards the development of our football, so that journalists, while reporting, will be saying that's why that edifice is there. It's there to inspire people. It's there to inspire the personnel that will be put in those offices to ensure that we develop football, so that we, the journalists, can also report things that concerns Cameroon football. So that's what I think as far as this particular issue is concerned.
Of the new headquarter of the federation, how important is it to journalists? I think that I'm not going to talk about the building itself because what FECAFOOT has been doing with the old building is the same thing that they're going to be doing in the new building. So I don't think that anything will change. For me personally, I've been to the old building, Chinga, and when I go to get my accreditation for matches, I remember the last time I was in Yaoundé for a game concerning the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, I got my accreditation. So I don't think that the new building to me basically gives any other added value to us journalists, because the old building was doing the work and then the new building is basically the same thing that they're going to be doing. But if we talk about the overall building itself, I think that is very, very important, because for those of us who've gone to the old building will know that the old building definitely needed a lot of space, needed a lot of things, which this new building definitely is coming to give not only sports journalists, but equally the workers of this particular FECAFOOT. You know, the workers need space and other things that are going to be needed in terms of this particular federation. So I think that the building to me doesn't really give me any added value, because the old building has been doing that, and will just be a transfer from the old to the new, the same thing that they've been doing from the old building. I think that's what they're going to be doing in the new building, and maybe additional thing that they might want to carve out and give the attention to the journalists. Probably in terms of also the press conference room, probably might change, because the old one, we know it is quite small. So maybe by the time we go for press conference at FECAFOOT, we'll have a much more better space to work as journalists.
And yes, just like Boris Esono said, in the former FECAFOOT headquarters, the conference room was extremely very small, that sometimes when they have to unveil the list of players, majority of the journalists present will always be standing, no chairs to sit, because the space was really, really small. And looking at the structure that Samuel Eto'o has completed, it means that we can say that there's going to be some level of comfortability in terms of accommodating the number of sports journalists in Cameroon. And away from the corridors of the new FECAFOOT headquarters that was inaugurated yesterday, or some days back on May 13th, rather, let's talk about the performance so far of the first outing of the under-17 Lions of Cameroon, currently in Morocco, ahead of the African Cup of Nations for the under-17 category. And mind you, it was a very, very bad start for them against Ivory Coast, despite the fact that Ivory Coast was one man down. Unfortunately for Cameroon, grabbing all the advantages to be able to get the goals were shortcoming, as it was Ivory Coast that got 2 goals during the last segment of the game. We'll take a listen to how that particular game was played. The match played at the Mohammed V Sports Complex, marking a worrying start for the Under-17 Lions of Cameroon, extending their winless run at the Under-17 African Cup of Nations to 7 years since lifting the trophy in 2019. Since returning to the competition in 2023, the Under-17 Lions of Cameroon have struggled significantly, recording just 1 draw and 5 defeat in 6 matches, a clear indication of a declined fortune at the continental level. After a goalless first half, Cameroon appeared poised to take control, especially when Ivory Coast was reduced to 10 men. However, The young Lions failed to capitalize on numerous advantages and instead collapsed within 5 minutes. Angers Namen broke the deadlock at the 52nd minute of play, while Hubert Nyon doubled the lead at the 57th minute, pushing Ivory Coast to take the lead. Despite enjoying greater possessions and having an extra player for considerable periods, Cameroon lacked creativity, urgency and composure in the final third. Failure to respond swiftly could see Cameroon's campaign unravel prematurely, further deepening concerns over the country's performance at young level. The under-17 Lions of Cameroon will face Uganda on May 16, 2026. Having won this particular competition in 2003 and in 2019, appearing for this particular competition for the 10th time, the big question is, with this debut back set, will Team Cameroon be able to get back into their shoes and face Uganda tomorrow? And mind you that Uganda equally had a beautiful ride today. So all of these are a lot of talks that are happening in the minds of Cameroon, and equally to reiterate the fact that they had a couple of friendly games before they traveled to Morocco, and even they played 2 international friendlies where they were defeated in one, and the other the one against Mozambique. Heading into Uganda, should we keep our fingers crossed, and equally to say that if Cameroon wants to dream into getting further into the competition, then the game against tomorrow, it's supposed to be a must win for them. And due to the setback of that particular first outing against Ivory Coast, where they were defeated 2-0, we equally sampled some decisions from sport journalists who had to tell us what it has to take Seydou Alioum to make sure that Cameroon has to win tomorrow. Take a listen at some of these prepositions, or rather responses that the coach can equally bring into the team to make sure that these particular lads get at least the first victory in terms of the group stages of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations currently ongoing in Morocco.
It's a tough start for the Under-17 Lions of Cameroon when it comes to the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations out there in Morocco. But the good news is that it is still the first game and they have the chance to turn everything when it comes to their second game against Uganda. In their opener, they were defeated by Ivory Coast 2-0, which is a very difficult start when it comes to the competition out there in Morocco. But I would say that with the technical bench, they have to improve on the defense of the Under-17 Lions with the midfield and especially with the forwards, because looking at the game against Ivory Coast, first 45 minutes, it was a 0-0 all draw between Ivory Coast and this Under-17 Lions. And going into the second half, it is the small lapses in the second half that made Ivory Coast to score 2 goals in less than 5 minutes. So I think that the technical bench need to work on the defensive compartment and equally on the midfield and forwards, because we are looking at a game where Ivory Coast was 1 man down and the Under-17 Lions were not able to score a goal when it comes to that particular game. At least having 1 goal will have shown that they are improving, but getting a 2-0 defeat in the game shows that they need to work a lot, especially with their game against Uganda, a side that is coming very much confident after their victory against the Democratic Republic of Congo, because a victory against against Uganda will improve their chances of qualifying to the next stage of the competition. Looking at that particular game, then it is a must win for the Under-17 Lions of Cameroon before heading to their last game against the Democratic Republic of Congo, that will equally be fighting for a victory because they had a defeat in their first encounter. So I think they need to tighten up now and look ahead to their next 2 encounters, especially the one against Uganda, which is their second game. That is what we can talk about when it comes to their start out there in the Under-17.
Well, talking about the performance of the Under-17 Lions, that's what we'll be talking about. It is coming at a time when we just actually inaugurated the new Fecafoot headquarters. Now, looking at this point in time, it doesn't reflect our performance. I think that building should be able to reflect the performance of Cameroon football in terms of practicality, in terms of the output of our various football categories. And looking at the game against Cote d'Ivoire, we were nowhere near the level of Cote d'Ivoire. Yes, though we had to hold them to a 0-0 all draw in the first half. But looking at the team, where the list of players or selected players who were taken to Morocco came just 2 hours into that particular game, that already tells you there was a problem. And the fact that our under 17 doesn't really have that follow-up. We are always hitting hard on the follow-up. Yeah, we've had good under 17 teams grace the Cameroon football landscape. We know of the team of 2005 that had Stéphane Biya, that had Alexander Song Belong, and it had a series of players. I think Landry Ngemo and Gwemo was in that particular team. Stéphane Biya, Alexander Song. Yeah, we had a good cream of players from the under 17. That was in 2005 during the Iya Mohamed era. And also, we also had another beautiful team led by Thomas Libi in 2019, who won the under 17 AFCON in Tanzania. So we had those beautiful teams, but now the follow-up, how many of those players in 2017 are playing with the national team? Just you cannot really even count. So that's where the problem is. How to nurture them and how to prepare them for the future is the big problem. And that's why Aliou Seydou, the coach of the under-17, before that particular game, he said he's not only going to win this particular competition, but he's also going to prepare these boys for the future. We are still hoping to see if these boys are really going to be prepared for the future, because yeah, we are not going there to win. Looking at the performance, we can't say we can win it. Looking at Morocco, looking at Uganda, looking at Ghana, Nigeria, who are good in producing youth teams, Senegal, likewise Mali too, who are good to producing good youth teams. You understand that it's going to be difficult. Now we are looking forward to see how we can finish second and qualify maybe for the World Cup, because we have 10 teams for Africa to represent the continent at the World Cup. So if we can buy those if we can buy the top 2 places in Group B, then we are sure to play the World Cup later this year in Qatar. So that should be the primary objective for Coach Aliou Seydou. There is still 2 games to play in the group stage. I think he can savour some good records from there. You know, during the under 17 qualifiers of the Central African Zone, we performed well and we won all our 3 games during that competition. So I think that energy should be driven to Morocco. But however, we made competition, we made more competitive teams like Cote d'Ivoire, who are more prepared than us. We know the Central African sub-region has or lacks competition. That's why it is difficult for us to actually go toe-to-toe with them. But however, it's not still over because we still have DR Congo to engage with them, and Uganda. So we can't say it's all over. It's not yet over, because there is still hope. But it's just for Aliou Seydou to actually find the winning mentality, inculcate some spirit of the lion spirit into these boys, so that they can actually go into their second outing and get maybe a 3 points, and then see how they can salvage something in the last day and qualify for the next round and probably the World Cup. I think that should be the primary objective. Now we also have to, like I said, the energy used in realizing the FECAFOOT headquarters in WADA should be used. The same energy should be used for the development of football, like the youth football. It's not all about scouting players in Cameroon, but also without, like I said last week, you understand that a country like Japan, the likes of Benin, is also trying to emulate that particular model, where they appoint scouting officers abroad, like in the top European leagues like France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and England, where these scouting officers are in charge of scouting players or tracking players who are in those big academies in Europe, from maybe the under 8 to the under 9, and then when they start developing in the ages of 15 and 16, 17 years, then they start cajoling them to come and play for the under 17. That's what Morocco is doing, and it's working for them, because it's not only about those who are in the country, but those who are outside the country. Look at Frank Magri, those were binationals. Look at Christopher Wu, those were binationals. Brian Buemo, those were binationals. Chupu Motin, but these players did not play for the under 17 of Cameroon. That's the end. That's the problem why they cannot really perform as an Eto, as an Abubakar will perform in the national team, because they don't have that track record of the under 17, the under 20, the under 23. So there is need for us to, if we are to scout binationals, we should start scouting them from the under 17 so that they get into the youth teams and they are nurtured in that lion spirit, so that by the time they are progressing, we can see that progression, we can see that progress, where by the time they get to the national team, they form a formidable squad that can help Cameroon football in future. So that is what...
It was a difficult game for the under-17 Lions. You know, I expected a lot from this particular team, even though they didn't show their worth in the particular game. I think the first half was quite okay for me, even though the second half not really the best, because you can't be playing 11 man against 10 and you can't score 4v1, you can't make use of the chances. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances were there, but they didn't concretize those particular chances. I expect that to change in the second game, because if they don't change that in the second game, it will be very, very difficult for them to progress to the next stage. Remember what is at stake. We have not only qualification for the next round, but equally qualification for the under-17 FIFA World Cup. So I think Coach Seydou knows the errors that were made. The striking department needs to be updated. The midfield also needs to be updated. They need to concretize the chances that they have in this particular game and score the goals. Because if you don't score goals, unfortunately, you can't progress to the next stage. So I don't want to talk about the players that have been selected, because I think I have a lot of reservations for the players that were selected, because I think that there were a couple of players who could have been selected but were not selected. So I'll just stay with this within this realm of the fact that I think that the players who are there can do better. They messed up in the first game. I think they have to do better in the second game. Without doing better in the second game, unfortunately, I don't see them progressing to the next stage of the competition.
Definitely, just like we all are anticipating for a better comeback against Uganda. We are hoping that things are going to take their place, and equally we'll take a listen at what Coach Alum Seydou had to say equally after their defeat against Ivory Coast, and the momentum that he's currently having as he's going to be facing the likes of Uganda. Let's take a listen now and watch what the coach equally had to say.
C'est un très bon match pour nous. On joue face à une très belle équipe de la Côte d'Ivoire. Nous venons quelque part de griller un joker, un avantage pour nous, mais bon, après que les garçons ont tout donné, surtout en première partie, parce qu'on avait quand même beaucoup d'opportunités pour pouvoir mener au score, surtout en première partie. Mais bon, malheureusement, il y a ce petit but qui nous a manqué. Mais bon, en deuxième partie, on a encaissé tout. Ça a démoralisé le joueur. Mais ils ont quand même su répondre présent pour pouvoir revenir. Mais bon, finalement, on n'a pas pu le faire. Oui, je viens de dire, comme tout à l'heure, on vient de perdre un joker, un avantage. C'est important dans une compétition. Quand vous êtes dans un groupe à 4, il faut, c'est éviter de perdre son premier match. Bon, nous, on a perdu ce match. Et nous savons que l'Ouganda, ils ont aussi gagné leur deuxième match. Donc forcément, pour nous, ça sera une finale pour pouvoir exister dans cette compétition. Sachant que les deux, ils ont déjà 3 points. Nous, on a 0 point avec la RDC. Ce qui est important dans ces matchs-là, c'était on a fait un entraînement aujourd'hui. On a demandé aux enfants de rester concentrés. C'est vrai que le match d'hier, c'est du passé. On va essayer de se concentrer justement pour préparer bien dans la sérénité ce match contre l'Ouganda, qui est capital pour nous, tout en sachant quand même qu'on a une carte à jouer. D'aucuns parmi eux, c'est leur première compétition. Non, il ne faut pas aussi l'oublier. Surtout qu'on a quand même eu des compétitions où on a vu nos gamins, ils ont du mal souvent à rentrer dans des matchs. Et surtout sur ces matchs-là, ils ont quand même pu répondre présent. Surtout comme vous dites, comme vous venez de le souligner en première partie, on a eu des occasions, d'énormes occasions. Mais on n'a pas concrétisé ces 16 petits buts qui nous a manqué. Peut-être c'est dû au stress de la compétition. Mais là, nous sommes conscients qu'on a une équipe capable justement de réagir derrière. C'est pour cela qu'on croit à ces enfants-là. Et sur notre deuxième match, on va essayer de corriger ce qui n'a pas marché en première pour le premier match. Il faut le souligner, on a même espoir de continuer aussi la course pour la compétition de la CAN, d'autant plus que les autres ils vont jouer aussi entre eux. Donc c'est comme je venais de répéter, je viens de le dire tout à l'heure, le plus important c'est notre deuxième match, qu'on est obligé de faire tout pour pouvoir avoir un bon résultat, pour pouvoir espérer pour la suite, sachant que pour la Coupe du Monde, c'est vrai que si on est dans les deux premiers, on est qualifié, nous sommes conscients de ça, mais on va essayer de tout faire pour pouvoir gagner ce match de l'Ouganda, pour pouvoir justement non seulement espérer la qualification de la Coupe du Monde, et continuer aussi notre aventure.
And yes, in Seiji Malium's voice, they have seen their mistakes and they are equally ready to correct them as of the game tomorrow. Mind you, Cameroon, under 17 Lions of Cameroon, will clash against Uganda, counting for the second day of play for the under-17 African Cup of Nations currently ongoing in Morocco. Our fingers are crossed. As on Monday, we are going to be bringing to you what transpired after 90 minutes of this particular encounter. And we are telling the young Lions that it's time for them to do what they have been doing at the level of the UNIFAC zone, that the competition is not an exception. And equally away from the corridors of the Under-17 African Cup of Nations that is ongoing in Rabat, Morocco, let's take you to Yaoundé to meet one of our reporters, Claudia Mboma, who is currently present at the Faker Food Center, where she's actually witnessing the National Veteran Tournament Naveto, with Yaoundé hosting this particular edition. And we take you to Yaoundé to look at the atmosphere in regards to Naveto.
Good day, dear viewers of Royal Television. We are live at the CAF Excellence Center here in Bankomo, that is in Yaoundé, for the National Veteran Tournament 2026, where we have over 16 teams taking part in this tournament. The likes of Mancon United, Mock Veterans, Super, that is Sunday Friends Association, the likes of Elebeg, Vetex, Askini, lack of teams that come from the Southwest region, who are participating in this tournament. And mind you, it is exciting. As you can see, the atmosphere, the weather is favorable out here in Yaoundé. It is actually 10 games in the group stages of this same tournament, where we have teams from the Southwest region trying to book a place in the quarterfinals, and why not in the semi-finals of this same tournament. Here we have the likes of Eleven, who are actually leading out there, and the likes of Sunday Friends Association, who are taking on Limbe Veterans right now. It is one for Sunday Friends Association from the Southwest region, one for Limbe Veterans, and the likes of Vetex, who have qualified already for the next stage with 7 points and actually leading at that pool. The teams like Askini, who are still hoping to get a place in this same quarterfinal, while they await their final and why not third game coming up in a few hours to determine that situation. We keep you updated with Royal Television, and signing out, I am Kusona Claudia Vuma.
Thank you very much, Kusona Claudia, reporting live in the Yaoundé, where she's giving to us minute by minute of what is happening at the level of the National Veteran Tournament. And hopefully that by Monday, maybe we should be giving you the results of the games that are currently ongoing. And away from Naveto, let's look onto the fixtures of the MTN Elite Championship. Mind you, it's weekend, which means that definitely there are going to be games across the national territory. I will take you to the MTN Elite fixtures. Match day 14. Who are those who are going to be welcoming who, and who are those that are going to be battling? Why not to be able to grab points as the competition continues? We're in Pool A. We'll take you to the fixtures so far in Pool A, where we are going to be having the likes of AD Sports of the Lekki that is going to welcome Union Sportive of Douala, and that game is going to be played at exactly 2 p.m. at the Fekafo Technical Center in Oja. Meanwhile, same stadium at exactly 4 p.m. You're going to have the likes of RS Fab of Yaoundé to clash against Sablo of Batier, and at the Afanbe Stadium in Kribi, Athletic Football Club of Kribi will clash against Les Asco Football Club of Douala at exactly 3 o'clock. And at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium, Mendakwe, at exactly 1:30 p.m., Ngakatunja will welcome Apogers of Mfu, and equally Pool B, still at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium. You are going to be having the likes of Bathman United that will host Avion Academy of Douala, and that game has been slated for 3:30 p.m. Meanwhile, at the Fekafort Central over there in Oja, Yafut will clash against Tonel Football Club, and at the Bamenzi Stadium at exactly 3 p.m., Rasenga Bafusab against Union Sportive of the Bombang, and in Kumba Municipal Stadium, Kumba City Football Club will lock horns with Bambutus of Buddha. And this is how the fixtures for match day 14 of the MTN Elite World Championship will look like. So if you are in Bamenda, Bathman and Gakutunjang will be in action this weekend at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium, which is tomorrow. And equally, if you are in Kumba, Kumba City equally will welcome Babutus of Buddha at the GPS school field. Make your way there to entice your eyes with beautiful football. And we cannot leave you without giving you the fixtures equally of the MTN Elite One Championship. Match day 19, remaining fixtures. Like I told you some days back, the advanced matches of the match day 19 equally played yesterday, where we had Stade Renard equally that Smida picking up a 4-1 victory. We had the likes of Kotong equally that split at points, and we'll take you to the fixtures of match day 19 of the MTN Elite World Championship. Mind you, remaining ones, where you have the Abakwa Boys of PWT of Bamenda that will host Leaders Unispo at the Bamenda Proximity Stadium at exactly 3:30. Mind you, the PWG coming from a victory against Panther Sportive in the likes of match day 18. This is another opportunity to want to grab more points at home. Mind you, she will be facing the group leader of the MTN Elite One Championship and equally titled contestants. And Kana Sportive of Yaoundé equally will welcome Dynamo Football Club of Douala at the Omid Sports Stadium in Yaoundé, and that game is going to be played at exactly 4 p.m. Title holders Colombe Sportif of Nda and Lobo will welcome Pate Sportif of Inde, and that game is going to be played at 4 p.m. While at the Limba Centenary Stadium on Sunday, the 17th of May 2026, Victoria United equally will lock hands with Aigle Royal of the Manu, and that game has been slated for 3:30. Now, with the issue of a suspension of over 6 players of Victoria United, including the goalkeeper and one or some of the highest goal scorers in terms of this season, like Stele, Peto, Chananana, the big question is, will they be able to sail through defeating or at least picking up a point against Aigle Royal of the Mongo, who sits at the bottom in terms of the classification table of the MTN Elite One? Another question mark, and all these will be answered coming Sunday 17th of May 2026, and it's with this particular reminder of the MTN Elite 1 Match Day 19 fixtures alongside Elite 2 Championship Match Day 14 fixtures that we get to tell you that it's time for us to leave this stadium. But before we take leave of you, and equally a big congratulations to our athletes that are representing us at the Electis African Championships over there in Ghana, grabbing a total of 5 medals with 3 gold medals, 1 silver, and equally 1 bronze medal. And equally, it's time for us to tell you bye-bye, and equally to tell you that you shouldn't touch this dial, as in some moments ahead, news will be yours. And equally, it's going to be presented by Frida, Elena, and a million thanks to David for why not manipulating the 10,000 bottles, and equally Isa for making sure that you can definitely see us every 5 p.m. right up to 6 p.m. every Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and equally Saturdays. Do not forget, go and visit the stadiums to entice your eyes with beautiful football. And I am Sonita Ngunyi. See you on Monday for another edition. Bye-bye.